Hi everybody, it's Attorney Brooke Goff live as usual from my West Hartford office. Today we're going to talk about the question that everybody asks me. We're going to talk about comp settlements. And let me tell you, like I said in my opening, if you think Halloween is scary, you have no idea about a comp settlement portion of a comp claim. Some of you, this is going to be something that's in the future, something you don't think you have to worry about, but you actually do. You should be considering your options now and getting a lawyer now, because if you're going to move towards settlement after what I tell you, then don't waste your time working on your case yourself now when you're going to have to get a lawyer anyways, and they're going to get the same fee anyways, right? Fine. So we're going to talk about comp settlements. Firstly, and I mean it, not all comp settlements are created equal. Not all comp claims are created equal. One thing people do not know about comp cases is there is no requirement to settle a comp case in the state of Connecticut for an employer. I will repeat, there is no requirement to settle a workers' compensation case in the state of Connecticut, meaning that the employee, right, the claimant, and the respondent, the employer, the insurance company, have to agree that they both have to agree. There's no commissioner. There's nobody that can point their finger and say, you must settle this comp claim. There is nobody that can do that. So a great lawyer is what you need. So down the road, when you get to the point of settlement, you get to the point where your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed, and both sides have been working toward this finish at the end. There, again, I will repeat, there's no requirement for a settlement in a comp case. In fact, you can only settle your comp case if you no longer work for the employer. There's usually either you couldn't return back to work or there's a resignation. So for instance, if you hurt your back, you get a surgery on your back, and then you want to go back to work and you want to continue your job afterwards, you are not allowed at that time, after you're done treating, to settle your comp case. The most you'll be able to get is what we call PPD, Permanent Partial Disability Benefits, a rating. Say you get a back surgery and I don't know, you get a 10% rating, that would equate to 37.4 weeks, okay? That would be it. That would be the end of it, other than mileage and the other glorified stuff, but that would be it. So there's benefits to settling your comp case in Connecticut, right? But obviously, and I tell all my clients this, do not sever your employee-employer relationship just to settle your case. Doesn't make sense. You don't want to do that. The best thing to do is, if you're in a position to where a doctor can fix the problem and you're at an age where you can return back to work and return to your job and do what you were doing before, and it makes sense, I tell people all the time, do not resign just to settle your comp case. That money, I mean, you'll get a lump sum, sure, but guess what? That will run out, and you will now be stuck without a job. That doesn't just apply to everybody, though, guys, all right? That doesn't just apply to everybody. Some people are in a situation where it makes sense to settle. If you can't return to your job because of your injury, and they can't accommodate you, there's a situation to settle. If your job fired you because of your comp case, doesn't happen often, or they can't keep you on because they are a small company, need to replace you, or whatever their excuse might be, that is a reason for settlement. If your doctor says you can't return to that job again, that is a reason for settlement. If you are at an age where you can roll into a pension and it makes sense and your injury is severe enough to where you should settle the case, that makes sense for settlement. But if you are just, let's say you tear your rotator cuff, okay? You have a bad injury, you tear your rotator cuff, you get surgery, and you can go back, let's say, I don't know, you are a receptionist, you can go back and you can do your duties. I tell people it does not make sense and some attorneys, look, attorneys make much more money when you settle, guys, but I'm not that lawyer. You guys have gotten to know me by now. You only settle when it makes sense, but there are benefits to settlement. So let's say you fall in that category, the most common category, where you get hurt, and as a result of your injury, you cannot go back to work doing your duties. Then what we do is, because through the whole case we're prepping, we're setting the tone, right? We're having talks, we're making sure that the treatment is appropriate, we're making sure the bills are paid, we're doing everything that needs to be done, and we start laying the framework relatively early if we get an idea that you're probably not going to be able to go back. So what ends up happening is when the best time to settle a comp case, right, is for that person that hurt their shoulder, that can't return back to work doing the same thing, is at the time of your rating. So that's maximum medical improvement, typically a year from the injury or from your surgery date. So if let's say Jane Smith hurts, poor Jane, I've like given her every injury in the book with these videos at this point, but let's say she hurts her shoulder, she trips over a box at work, right? Hurts her shoulder, fine. She gets a rotator cuff repair and then she's fine and she can return back to work. My recommendation for Jane is to go back. However, let's say Jane hurts her back and the doctor says, look, based on your injury, you can't go back. You're not going to be able to perform your duties, your permanent light duty. Then I'm going to have a conversation with Jane. Look, Jane, and I'm going to tell you how we're going to do this in a minute, but the best thing for you to do is to try to allow us to try to resolve this case. If Jane got a surgery on her back in May of 2018, then May of 2019, I'm expecting to see a rating. At that point, it's the best point to try to settle. Do not be that client that deals with the insurance company, that, I don't know, that handles the attorneys on their side, that goes your own hearings, that creates your own binders, that creates your own folders, and then says, okay, I've taken it this far, I can't settle it, let me get attorney Goff. That's stupid. Because you've done all the work. I'm going to come in like Wonder Woman. I'm going to put it all together. I'm going to do what I know how to do, and I'm going to settle this when you've done all the work, and I'm still going to get my fee because you can't get the settlement I can get you. Make an attorney work for their money. Make me work for my money, right? Now, if you're in that situation, you're in it. You did it already. Hire the lawyer, be done with it. Let the attorney settle it for you. But again, guys, not all insurance companies want to settle your claims. I have a case right now where my client worked for an ambulance company. He had an injury. He doesn't want to go back to work for the employer because there's just kind of a falling out and other things. It's a good case to settle. They don't want to settle. They don't want to settle. Fine. So we have to put it in dormancy status. The medical stays open. And I mean, trust me, guys, it's not worth, and I should say one other thing to you. It is not worth you keeping a comp case open for future medical treatment that you don't even know you're going to have. It's the biggest mistake, the biggest hullabaloo I've ever seen. And most people do it because you guys aren't talking to the right people. It doesn't make sense. Do not keep your comp case open just because you think you might need it later, maybe kind of, sort of need surgery later. This is the only chance for you to get a lump sum. In the event that you wait, kind of, sort of, right time, maybe, later I'll need it, guess what? When you're ready and you call me in 3 years and say, you know, Brooke, that kind of, sort of, maybe needed treatment, but not, it didn't pan out, and now I want to settle, you're saying goodbye to that lump sum because the insurance company, they're probably not going to want to settle at that point. Every year that goes by, their risk is lower. Think about that. It's the less, but as we get older, our life expectancy decreases. This is not a phenomenon, it's a normal thing. And you got to remember something, guys. You have to remember, as your life expectancy decreases, the value that the insurance company puts on your claim also decreases. So when I have these conversations with my clients and I say, hey client, look, this is a great time. You can't return back to work. This is a great time to resolve it. Some clients need a little more movement than others, but we get to the end game. And I recommend it because I'm like, there's no benefit to keeping it open. Certain situations, but very rare there are. And this, by the way, this is not, I'm not talking about a perm total situation where nobody can ever work again doing any job. This goes for every other situation because perm total is very rare, okay? Okay, so the best time to settle is at that time that I'm discussing with you with the time of the rating. Now, when I do my demands, I do a few things. I do, obviously, if your permanency rating hasn't been paid out, we ask for that. And then they get a credit for what they've paid thus far. We ask for what's called 308A benefits. This is your inability to earn a living the way you were in the event the injury didn't happen. That can be a maximum of your PPD benefits, your permanency benefits. Then I ask for an increase in your rating over time, right? So I do typically the commissioner will award 50% of your rating. So if you get a 10% rating, that's usually 5% for a total of 15%. Then we ask for future TT. Well, my client may need treatment in the future, right? So you got to pay them for that time they're missing from work. And we come up with, and you're probably wondering how we come up with these numbers. Well, we come up with them from experience, guys, okay? You can Google all you want. You can do you can do searches. You can pull open, to blow dust off of law books. You're not going to find this stuff. The stuff I'm telling you right now, you're not going to find, because this comes from experience. This comes from dealing with these people, knowing the commissioners, knowing the counsel, knowing the insurance companies, knowing how to value cases based on the injury. You won't find this stuff, guys. You can't learn it in law school. You have to be in the fields, in the trenches, with your clients, at the hearings, with the commissioners, living, breathing, and that's it. This stuff, the reason why people say I'm like a walking comp encyclopedia, it's because I live it daily. I talk to clients daily. I advise clients daily. I file cases daily. Guys, it's no joke. And I'll tell you, most attorneys don't know properly how to value cases, in my opinion. I get some demands and I'm like, how did they come up with this number? It's like, 40% of what it should be. You gotta, when you search for a comp attorney, you gotta make sure they do comp and personal injury. You want the comp knowledge, but the personal injury aggression, right? You want an attorney that goes in and is going to treat a comp hearing the same way they treat a trial in front of jurors, which is not the way comp works. If you have that, you're unstoppable. You're going to be so much more prepared than everybody else, right? And a good lawyer, by the way, guys, a lot of people, it doesn't help you to rush back to work when you're not ready. That actually is not what's best for your claim. It doesn't help you to get rated right away. That's also not what's best for your claim. You have to trust that your lawyer is making decisions that are going to benefit you later and get you to the end game. When I sign my clients up, I talk to them, I said, what is your end game? Do you want to go back to work or do you not, if it were your choice? Then I tell them this story. I say, look, there's a chance maybe your injury will stop you from going back to work, and these are what our options are. And some clients will say, look, 3 years was my plan. Okay, so let's talk about our strategy so we can try to get this to where we need to be so we can make what you want happen, but also put you in the best position for a settlement, right? Because that's, guys, if you're injured at work, you don't get pain and suffering. All right, so you probably heard all of the pieces that I asked for. And I did leave out future medical treatment because that's another line on the item. But and by the way, with settlements, so if you are close to Medicare age, there might be something called a Medicare set-aside. You guys can't deal with that, right? So there's professionals that'll deal and help you administer. Basically, if you're Medicare eligible within a certain period of time, Medicare will say, look, based on this client's injury, we feel that they will need $20,000 of medical treatment. So there's something called the Medicare set-aside where we have to set up this whole big thing with Medicare, and it's a pain in the butt. But these are all parts of settlement, and it's way over anybody's head that watches this video, unless you're a comp attorney. There are some comp attorneys that have been trolling these, leaving messages. I would tell you to stay away from them, because if they have enough time to troll my videos and then write comments about them, negative comments, by the way, that when they don't know me, I would tell you, it's a threat, and they're threatened clearly, but I would tell you that if they have that much time on their hands, they're likely not busy for a reason, right? But getting back to the comp settlement piece, if you settle your comp case, if you settle it, workers' comp, as of now, will pay for 2 years of qualified education for you around your restrictions at a state school. You want to be an electrician, HVAC technician, massage therapist, phlebotomist, teacher, I don't care what it is, English as second language, they will pay for 2 years of qualified education for you. That's it, as long as it's within your restrictions. If you hurt your back and you can't, let's say you are an EMT worker and you hurt your back, well, if an electrician, I know because I represent people that are electricians, typically requires a lot of bending and lifting, they're not going to prove that, right? But they work closely with you and the doctor to determine what good job prospects there would be, and then we retrain, and they pay for it. So I had a case where the woman was working at it's like a McDonald's, Burger King, I can't remember, but she was making minimum wage, right? She slipped and fell, she hurt her back. And she also hurt her thigh as well. Long story short, we get her through it. We settle the case. She gets a lump sum, more money than she's ever seen in her life. Probably, I think it was like $18,000 before the fees came out, so huge for her. You know what she did? She did the 2 years of qualified education to be a phlebotomist. I don't think it took 2 years. She banked the money and lived off of it and raised her son on it for 6 months to a year. She's now making $63,000 a year as a traveling phlebotomist. And she sends me a Christmas card every year. She calls me and she's like, this was this was exactly what I needed. It gave me a new life. And did she still deal with the injury? Sure, her back bothers here and there, sure. But with the overall payout, and that was only the comp settlement, guys. That didn't count everything else. I think the total payout on the case was somewhere around $34,000 to $36,000, which was very favorable for her. It gave her a new life, a new start. And sometimes people need that, especially depending on the injury they have. Now, like I said, I can't make an employer settle it, but you can make damn sure that we do everything we can. So in the event that my client says they want to keep their job, we do everything we can to have them keep their job. And if my client says, you know what, maybe I don't feel comfortable, I'm scared, whatever the case might be, maybe it's the right thing that we try to prep this for settlement down the road, we do just that. I would say we settle about, of people that want to settle, 95 to 97% is high. But guys, they smell blood in the water when you represent yourself, and they know you have no idea what 308A means, TT, PP, whatever. They know that, the insurance companies, and they might call you and say, I'll give you $5,000. You might think that's a good settlement, but it's probably not, because if they'll give you $5,000, imagine how much they'd give me, and my 20% is irrelevant at that point. One last case, because I like to teach by example. And a nice gentleman that I represented, he was operating, listen to me, he was working on a car, screwdriver under the car, I don't know what kind of screwdriver it was, so if it's not called a screwdriver, but it jumped up and it forked his eye, just like that. His eye stayed in, but it went right through the eye. Terrible, okay? And let me tell you, he lost 34% of his vision, something along these lines. He came in my office, he had a settlement on the table. Settlement value was like $25,000 or something like this. And I said, I will do better, and if I can't, well, you're not gonna pay me, because why are you gonna pay me if you could have done it on your own? 4 months, 75, actually it ended up being a little more, because there's a side, 79 and change, something like this. That's the difference. So let's call it 80 it's like $16,000 attorney's fee, take that off. My client walked with $64,000, $63,000, which is, can we all agree, more than the full $25,000 he was offered? And that's what it was worth in 4 months. So don't do all the work yourself and then call me later. It's stupid. Look, I'm a little different than your typical attorney. I wake up with energy and I like to work. So my staff all likes to work. They're all here for that reason. Call us, ask us your questions. I'm happy to answer them. My consultations are all free. At least know what you're saying yes or no to, okay? I will walk you through the process. I will guide you through the entire thing, and then I will give you enough information so you can make an educated decision. Do I want a lawyer? Do I not? Do I want to work towards settlement or don't I? And by the way, settlement, guys, doesn't come from your employer unless they're unemployed. Uninsured. It comes from the insurance company. So it's not like you're hurting your employer. The claim itself is the claim. The rest of it's irrelevant, all right? You can reach us again, 203-399-0000, extension 1. You can text us at 203-399-0000. You can email me directly at Brooke, BROOKE, at gofflawgroup.net. And let me look at some questions, because I have some questions coming through. Is it the employer or insurance company that doesn't want to settle? Typically the employer, right? So the insurance company will typically call the employer, and the employer is the one that's usually like, shut it down, I don't want to settle it. Just FYI, that's the truth. I have some other questions here too. Let's see. Oh, a lot of people are saying very nice things. I appreciate it. Yeah, Rick, doctors will tell you, they'll give you guidance. Until somebody's fully done treating, I tell them don't give up hope. Some people do go back, but it depends on their personal situation as well. Like I said, some people have a pension. Some people, they can't take the physicality of the work anymore. They're close to Medicare age. In those cases, typically I tell the clients, look, the best thing for you is if we stage this and set this up for settlement. All right, guys, so thanks for the questions. I'll keep answering them. Follow us on Facebook, Goff Law Group. Share this with your friends. This is the most asked question of 2020, probably 2019 and 2018, and you can't find the answers unless you watch this video, because good luck. I challenge you, Google, whatever else. What do they do? Reddit now? Reddit's a good thing. Do whatever you can. You won't find answers, because this is experience, and this is what you pay for. All right, guys, take it easy. Have a good day. Thank you.